Hello, my name is Eugene Wang. I first spoke with you at the beginning of the semester. I hope you've been enjoying this course and the videos. In this video, I will introduce you to the school psychology and school counseling roles. One of these two professional roles is frequently the next educational and eventual professional goal for child, adolescent, and family studies majors. Besides being a faculty member here, I'm also a licensed psychologist in the state of California. That means that I can provide counseling and do evaluations in a private practice setting. For the most part, I don't do counseling. My focus is on completing evaluations for students who are struggling in school and we're trying to figure out why. The evals that I do are similar to what a school psychologist does, except that they tend to be much more in-depth and detailed. So in this video, we talk about school psychologists first. Then we'll take some time to talk about school counselors, who are just as important as school psychologists, but they are not the same professional and they don't have the same responsibilities. As a child, adolescent, and family studies major, you are in an ideal major if there's an interest in school psychology or school counseling. Your coursework will focus on both typical and atypical growth and change in core developmental domains like physical, cognitive, language, and social emotional development. These areas are usually where concerns may emerge when a kiddo is in school. As a result of these concerns, there may be a need to do an evaluation or to provide counseling, and that is where a school psychologist or a school counselor comes into the picture. In this major, there is required coursework that totally aligns with both of these professional roles. First, all majors take many developmental courses that focus on different developmental domains. And all majors take CAFS 4450, which is child assessment. Finally, depending on your concentration, you will take either CAFS 3306, which is early childhood special education, or CAFS 3350, which is development of exceptional children. If you're in the early childhood concentration, you'll take CAFS 3306. However, if you're in the child and adolescent concentration, you will take CAFS 3350. So, what does a school psychologist actually do? Click on the link that I've provided in this slide for you to hear from a school psychologist in terms of his daily work responsibilities, as well as some of his thoughts regarding the role as a school psychologist. Now, if you're interested in school psychology, it's going to mean grad school. In other words, after you complete your undergraduate major in child, adolescent, and family studies, you'll need to plan for 2.5, 3 years of graduate school in order to eventually hold the appropriate degree and credential for you to be a school psychologist in a public K-12 setting. Okay? There's two primary ways to do so, okay? And that's shown on this slide. Okay, so one way to go about getting to the end goal of being a school psychologist is that you first complete a master's degree in something like psychology or educational psychology or maybe even school psychology, and then go on to what is called a PPS credential in school psychology. PPS stands for Pupil Personnel Services Credential. That is, in essence, the quote license that you need to have in order to be in the K-12 setting. Now, if you do that, it's sort of a two-step process where you first have to complete the master's degree, then you have to go somewhere, perhaps a different program, or it could be in the same program, and complete the PPS credential. Okay. Alternatively, A more efficient way of doing this, and certainly sort of the preferred way of doing this now, is to complete your undergraduate degree in our department and go straight into what is called an EDS program in school psychology. EDS stands for Education Specialist. These EDS programs in school psychology basically combine the master's degree and the credential into one experience. Okay, so it oftentimes will mean a shorter, more direct path to entering into the school psychology profession and being able to actually be at a K-12 setting where you are an actively practicing professional. Now, a career option that is related to school psychology but is not the same thing is school counseling. So let's talk a little bit about school counselors. Let's start by having you read a short description of school counseling provided by the American School Counselor Association. Here's a short video from a university faculty who talks about the role of school counseling. So, what does it take to become a school counselor? Well, your child development degree is an excellent start point because you'll be learning about children's development in the core developmental domains. But beyond your BA degree, you'll need to attend graduate school. Although the qualifications can vary a little bit from state to state, you'll generally need a master's in school counseling. And additionally, you'll need the school counseling PPS credential. This is the credential that allows you to work in the public K-12 setting. I hope this presentation has been helpful. Let's wrap things up with a few takeaways about school psychology and school counseling. Starting with school psychology, keep in mind these are the individuals who are trained to do testing and counseling. Depending upon their assignment in a school district, they may be doing one or the other or both. However, in general, school psychologists have a very heavy testing load, and so they do relatively little or no counseling as part of their professional role. Also keep in mind, school psychologists tend to work with students who are experiencing challenges in school. Those challenges may be academic or some other school-related issue. Regardless of what the challenge might be, school psychologists have a focus on determining if a student meets criterion to receive accommodations. If so, school psychologists typically are involved in developing a plan that would provide those accommodations and support a student's educational experience. On the other hand, school counselors are trained to do counseling. Generally speaking, they're not involved with testing because their graduate training didn't involve that type of background. And unlike a school psychologist, school counselors work with all students, not just students who are experiencing challenges in school. So for school counselors, as they work with individual students or groups of students, their focus is on enhancing each student's educational experience as much as possible. So for example, a school counselor may be working with one student to develop study skills that support how they're doing in school. For another student, the school counselor might be working with that student to figure out how to apply to college. Still, in other situations, a school counselor might be working with a group of students to address a particular school-related issue. Regardless, for both school psychologists and school counselors, there's lots of student contact that is designed to support the student's experience in school. Okay? If you have questions about either professional option, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to talk with you about your interests and the process of applying to and being accepted into a graduate program. I hope you enjoyed the remainder of the presentations.